What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DSM Monday Podcast Marathon Edition. Today we are in rainy Richmond Park, classic British weather. Can't believe it, muddy. But we're going to do our first running podcast today. And today we have a special guest, Chloe Dooley. Thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. I'm really looking forward to this chat. First question, where did your passion come from for running?
I feel like my passion for running has kind of grown. I definitely wasn't one of these people who has run their whole life.
Yeah.
I actually started off as a swimmer when I was a kid.
After you.
Thank you. So yeah, I competitively swam till I was about 14, 15.
Oh wow, okay.
I did a little bit of running on the side because my parents were both runners, but I never really kind of fell in love with it. It was more of a, okay, I'm just going to do this to kind of substitute my swimming.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when I was in college, I sort of started to get back into running because I'd stopped swimming and I was kind of like, well,
swimming is quite a tedious sport.
yeah, it's tough. You sort of get to a point where it's long hours, it's early mornings, you know, training, you know, twice a day to take like, you know, half a second off if you're lucky. Yeah. And I just sort of lost the love for it.
100%.
So yeah, then sort of picked back up running because I was, you know, someone who wanted to be in sports. But yeah, I would say probably towards the end of uni into kind of starting work during the kind of lockdown pandemic. That's when I really got a chance to explore running, sort of start getting faster times, get more into the road running scene, because up to that I'd always done track and cross country.
Right.
So yeah, that's so
interesting because COVID seems to be the breakaway for so many runners.
Yeah, just having that time to train more. I mean, my lockdown was slightly different. I was working in healthcare, so it was slightly different to, you know, everyone else, but I still had a chunk right at the start where I was at home finishing uni, you know, actually just using running as a bit of a escape and something to channel, you know, that time and energy into. So yeah, it's kind of just grown from there, and the more that I've got into the road running scene, and you know, you kind of get hooked on, okay, what's the next
target,
PB or distance?
It's amazing how PBs start to sink in people's
massively.
soul. And every PB just kind of makes you happier and happier. But when does that end, you know?
Well, I mean, I have been thinking about this like quite recently, where I'm like, you know, actually, I think probably a lot of us as competitive athletes are pretty bad at kind of, you know, working towards these big goals, achieving them, or, you know, achieving more than we kind of wanted. And then you sort of instantly jump to, right, what's next?
Yeah.
And we never actually take time to just be like, actually look how far I've come. And
100%.
I think I've done a lot better at that this year. I've really tried to be like, you know, Chloe when I was 16, 17, just getting into road running, if you'd have told her then, oh, you know, you're going to run a sub 17 5K.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, you're going to break 3 hours in the marathon. Like, she would have been so proud.
Yeah.
So I think that's also really important. Like, the PBs are a great motivator, but I think it's so important to
look back,
see where you've come, and be proud of your journey. And like, it's easier, I know, to say than to do, but you know, not compare to other people.
Yeah. Because
that's really easy to do in the society we live in.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, definitely.
I once spoke to a cyclist friend of mine, and I said, shit, his FTP was like 350. I'm so far behind you, and that's all he said. And I was like, that's so true. Like, we've got to stop comparing ourselves with other people, especially with people that can do it full time. So you mentioned healthcare.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about what you do there.
So I'm a physio. So I work in the NHS predominantly. So that is my full-time job, and I love my job, I love my career. So for me, I don't think there'll be ever any question that I'd never want to not do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely has challenges with trying to fit in training, recovery, everything else around it. So,
but I think your advantage is having the knowledge about how important recovery and things are.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say are the biggest injuries that everyday runners make when they try and step into things like marathons?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment,
100%
I would say.
with the AI and stuff.
Yeah, and kind of, all the chat about stress fractures and things. And, I think the key thing I always remember is everyone gets into running because they want to run, they want to be out doing that sport and activity. And
yeah,
I think it's important to remember how rubbish it is to be injured, and that at the core of all that, there's people who are injured and can't do that. But I think as a physio, a lot of what we see, the common mistakes, are people doing like too much too soon, the classic, which sounds really simple, but you kind of get swept up in what everyone else is doing, and actually you often feel fine and then it all falls apart.
It's a couple of days later. So I've seen with my mates that use Runner, and this is the hot topic, because Runner's giving these guys programs that they're not used to, and like you say, it's too much too soon. I mean, I see some of their programs for guys that have never run before, and I'm like, that's crazy. You guys should. And then also they don't do the strength work, they don't do the recovery work, it's just running. So cross training is not involved either. No way Runner says do an hour on the watt bike.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think I'm really passionate about that, because when I was just a runner when I first started, and yes, I was doing a bit of strength work, but it was predominantly just miles, and I did pick up, luckily no serious injuries, but just niggles and things that would keep me out. But actually, since I've done triathlon for the last couple of years, and my mileage has dropped, but my running mileage has dropped, but my volume's gone up.
But don't you feel like you've got a little bit stronger because your bike strength is completely different?
Yeah, and actually you have to spend the time in the gym, particularly like the bike, you need the strength in your legs, and like the swimming, from a upper body and core. So actually I found that has really complemented my running, and you'd think as a physio that I would know that, but
you're only working that out as we go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I must be honest, so I did an FTP test the other day, and I improved with hardly any cycling in the winter.
Yeah.
But I haven't missed a strength session.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, and one of the reasons why these AI driven running coaches, why they're struggling with injuries, is because no one's doing the strength work.
Yeah, and
because there's no one to hold you accountable.
No, exactly. And I'm really passionate about strength work. I spend so much of my week talking to people about, where they need to build strength, and, how important it is. And not just, okay, you need to do your physio strength exercises, but also it's about, once you're back from your injury, okay, how do we keep you injury free? Like, what do you build into your routine? And I think there's a lot of space for that to grow, and with everything, I think there's space in the market for more of that kind of education on the strength side of things. And
I think I was listening to a podcast with Nick Bester. He makes a good point. The AI running apps are fantastic to get people into the game,
100%.
but I think when you cross a certain threshold, you need to understand a little bit about more your body, the other things that come with it, the cross training. Then you step into a personal coaching role.
Yeah.
Do you have a coach?
I do. I have flitted between both, actually, because I think finding a coach that works for you is also really challenging. Like, just because one coach is good for one athlete and has got them to achieve certain results,
right, it
doesn't mean that they're going to then have, the same results, and they're going to be as effective for you. So I've definitely had times where I've had a coach, just worked really well. I've also had times where I've self-coached myself.
Yeah, did you perform better?
I think I was happier.
Interesting.
I'm quite an independent athlete.
Well, you have to hold yourself accountable. So a lot of the things that keep me going is that Training Peak green block. Can't miss that green block.
No, definitely. I think for me it was with work and with life, like, stuff comes up, and I think I often found it hard if I had stuff scheduled to then be like, oh, well, I need to change this around, or actually I need to move things, or do you know what, today has just been really emotionally draining.
For sure. And people forget that when they do these hard
Yeah.
training. Then they go and train and wonder why they're so fatigued for weeks on end after the fact.
Yeah, and I think particularly when you're throwing yourself all into a goal like a marathon,
Yeah.
you know, yes, there's the whole physical side of things, which is massive, but I think it's equally important to remember that it's a big mental load as well, you know,
Yeah.
like you give up a lot of time, you're really focused on your goal, you might have to make sacrifices with social life or
Yeah.
things like that, and then either it goes really well and you have all the positive emotion, or it doesn't go to plan
You have all
and
the-
actually you've got all of that, you know, kind of disappointment to carry.
So good segue. You mentioned that you had a disappointing London Marathon last year.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah, so it was my first full marathon.
Okay.
I always wanted it to be London. Like, I grew up watching London on the TV with my parents, then going to London to watch both of them run London, then
wow.
working as a physio. And then I was like, okay, London has to be my first marathon. Like, it's my home now. So I think that brought a lot of like excitement, but also pressure.
Yeah.
Because I'd, you know, seen so many people do so well at the event. And, you know, I think when you've been in running and you've been in sport for a while and people kind of have these, you know, expectations of, oh, you're going to be able to get a sub 3 on your first marathon.
Which is
And
crazy.
I also believe that. I trained for it, everything was in the right direction.
Do you think the external pressure, you should have actually just gone for a 3:15 or something lower,
Yeah, I think there was a lot of factors for me as to why my London didn't go
according to plan?
according to plan. Yeah, I mean, it was not bad by any stretch, but it was definitely not the day I hoped for.
So tell us what happened on the day.
Well, I got really sick the week leading up to it, so I was kind of being really kind of sick the week leading into it. Didn't eat any food.
Yeah, that's not great.
Kind of started to eat about 24 hours before, but I think a lot of the damage was already done.
Yeah.
And then got very excited in the first 10k because I was like, you know, I've stood at Cutty Sark and watched, and now
You're
my
in it.
dad and my boyfriend are there screaming for me, you know, and it was,
It's almost a negative because your energy levels
Yeah,
rise and then
and
you
I
get
think-
too excited and your heart rate jumps.
London is, anyone who's run it, the first 5-6k is net downhill.
Okay.
You're like, you know, kind of crammed in with lots of people, so you sort of have to run at the pace everyone is running at, or, you know, you're gonna get tripped up.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's interesting. So you kind
Yeah.
of have to keep pace with everyone else.
no, massively. So I think it can be good, like if you're in a pen where people are
Going for the same
maybe
time.
holding back a little bit, that's helpful. But I got into the championship start for London,
Oh, wow.
and I think just got pulled along with everyone. Felt great. Got to about,
Drafting.
yeah, you know, riding energy, like it was, I mean, that first 10k, if I could like bottle that energy up
Yeah.
and just like have that first 10k, it was so special.
Yeah.
But then,
But
yeah,
then reality hits.
15k, my quads were just like, no, cramped. And I then started to panic because I was like, I'm 15k in, like I have 42k's to run.
Yeah.
This wasn't in my A or B or C plan.
So what did you do in that moment,
Well,
15Ks in?
I pulled back on the pace.
Yeah.
I tried to like, yeah, I guess just settle back into a rhythm. I was like, hey, just keep moving, let's get to Tower Bridge.
Yeah.
And then I'd been really excited to run across Tower Bridge, like, you know, that's a iconic
Classic.
part of the marathon.
100%.
And I just felt awful. And I was trying to smile because I, you know, like, I've had a lot of people always be like, you know, if you smile, even if you're in pain and you're having a rough
It'll be
time,
fine. Yeah.
it'll be fine. But you know, that didn't work. I got just over the bridge and I was like, yeah, just feeling a bit dizzy, really
Yeah.
not feeling good. And I was like, oh, am I even gonna finish this? Like,
Yeah.
saw my best friend on the side. So I like stopped, walked over to her.
Oh, nice.
There's this,
Took a breather.
yeah, I had a bit of a cry.
Oh,
She
wow.
said some very motivating, like exactly what I need to hear in the moment. There's this really special photo that I think captures my London Marathon day where she's leaning over the barrier, giving me a hug and a pep talk, and a stranger behind saw this moment happening, videoed it all on their phone.
Oh wow.
And afterwards was like, do you want me to send this to you? Like, I felt like it was a
good moment,
a meaningful moment, which I think sums up London, and everyone's in it together.
100%. So if you had one thing you could change in your strategy leading up to that, what would it be?
I think there's probably 3 things I would change. 1, less pressure on myself.
Right.
Or less kind of trying to be better at blocking out the external pressure.
Yeah.
You're always going to have that internal drive. I think that's important, but maybe not listening so much to what everyone else was thinking and expecting.
Yeah.
I think 2 would be probably a bit more volume. I think I was a bit scared to go from 5Ks up to the marathon, so I was probably
in training
a little bit cautious there, which I think is, you're better to be undercooked than overcooked, for sure, but that's something that I did change, was to do more volume. And I think the 3rd one would probably be to know your pacing and not go off too quick, and I learned that the hard way.
Well, how do you, so you mentioned you got in the championship entry. As an everyday runner, how do you choose what group you get entered into?
So for championship, the last year when I did it, you could get in off a half marathon time, which I think was sub 83 minutes for women. I'm not sure for men off the top of my head, but and you also have a marathon time, so I think for women it was 3 hours 10. Right. For this year, they changed that so you can only get in off a marathon time. Right. Unless you've never run a marathon before, in which case you can use a half marathon time. Okay. So I'm gonna have to use a half marathon time. If you've never run a marathon, I've never run. So this is my first marathon coming up, London Marathon. I've got to plug myself into the start group. Yeah. But I don't want to overcook myself. No. So I might, if I send them my half marathon time, that's going to be quite fast. Yeah. So, and I think everyone in championship is shooting for a quick time. Right. So, you go off just behind the elite. Yeah. You've got the TV cameras there, like obviously you're going to, enjoy that moment, get carried away. Sure. This year, so I'm doing it again in April. Nice. Same as you. You got to reclaim redemption. It. I've got a good for age. Yeah. So I am, my time in London just got me in the good for age for London this year. So what's the target this year? I want to do sub 3 at London. Right, so same target. Yeah. But do you feel more prepared this time around? Well, I went for a redemption marathon in Malaga in December. Right. I managed a 2:57. Wow, okay. Congrats. So I know I can do it. Having done both marathons, would you say Malaga was slightly easier, or? It was different. It definitely wasn't easier. Right. It was easier at 15K. I was like, oh, I feel great. My quads are still working. Yeah. But I think at London, because I walked a fair bit from like 20K to 30K. Right. I actually then enjoyed the back end of the race because I was sort of like, well, I'm not finishing. Pick myself back up. Yeah. Actually managed to run that last 10K down embankment. Okay. And sort of soak it all in. Yeah. Whereas in Malaga, I hit 30K. Dark place. Yeah, I had to really dig, and I mean the last like 3K of the race, I'm like, that's blanked from my memory. Yeah. So you just like 180 heart rate trying to give it everything, and you got it by 3 minutes. And 3 minutes, for those listening, is a long time in marathon timing. Yeah. I mean, you went from what, a 3:15 London Marathon? Yeah, 3:18, so it was a 20-minute PB. That's massive in running. I don't think massive fitness changes. I mean, I've obviously learned a lot from London, so I think definitely don't underestimate what you learn from just going for a training block and doing the race. Right. But I think more than anything, I just really, in terms of how I managed my own kind of emotions and like the mental preparation into it, that was very different, and I think that was what changed the game. A big shift. Yeah. So it's amazing how much the mental game has to play. Massively. Because also London last year was quite hot. Yeah. And we struggle to train in the winter. Yeah. Do you find that that might be one of the difficulties of London Marathon, because we're all training in such tough conditions? Yeah, definitely. And I think you never know. You have years in London where it's 10, 11 degrees and raining. Right. Which is arguably perfect. Yeah. Or you have years like last year where it's 23, 24 and blazing sun. So
See, for me as a South African, that sounds like a dream. Okay, I want to pull us over here because the next topic of discussion is nutrition. And we're not going to make the end of our run if we don't get some gels in us.
Sounds good.
Bit of a hard tear, so just go for it. So 4K in, important to get your nutrition done right.
Okay, that's quite nice.
Nice, eh? Sweet, but
Not like artificial sweet.
exactly, it's like true maple syrup and salt. This is going to get us to the end of this run. I'll tell you that for free. So on that note, talk to me about what your nutrition strategy was for race day.
For London, I had trained with precision gels. I just like the consistency of those. I don't have a nutrition sponsor, so I tend to flip between.
No plug.
Yeah, no. It's kind of whatever I can get on a decent deal, because nutrition is, or your kind of gel or carb mix nutrition is not the cheapest. So I did one gel before.
Okay.
Well, my normal race day breakfast, so I always have porridge, honey, banana,
Classics.
and a coffee. So that is pretty staple for long run days and race day.
For sure.
And then gel before the race, and then I did 4.
4 during the race.
4 during the race, yeah. So
That doesn't sound too bad, because sometimes I hear guys doing like 8 gels in a race.
yeah, no, that was sort of what I think, because in training, I know that, your kind of optimum amount of fueling, you want to be getting, maybe like 60 grams of carbs an hour.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always like, gels are quite expensive.
Yeah.
I try and use them just for those hard long run sessions.
Right.
And I sort of didn't want to then over fuel on race day and end up with any kind of stomach issues or things like that.
Sure.
So
I prefer solid foods compared to gels completely, and that's why I quite like those gels we just had, because it's real natural food.
yeah,
And I find for an everyday runner, the nutrition can be quite overwhelming.
yes.
So like trying to figure out, like you say, 60 grams every hour, like for an everyday runner, that can get confusing.
Yeah.
So I feel like people panic about the nutrition too much.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel like as long as you are taking something on, you can't do a marathon on nothing. And as long as you have practiced it a couple of times within either a training race, kind of 10K or a half that you've done as part of your prep, and maybe a couple of long runs. Same with your breakfast. I think that's a good thing to practice, so you're not trying anything new.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go too complicated. Stick with what works best for you. And for me that was 4 gels, and I stuck with that for Malaga.
And you were fine.
Yeah, I always carry an extra.
Yeah.
So like London, I carried 5. My first gel at 7K, I opened it, went to squeeze it to get the gel, and I was like, why is there nothing going in my mouth?
Did it go under?
It like exploded out the bottom.
Oh no.
So it was all down my leg and on my hand.
Terrible.
Then obviously it was hot, so I spent the whole race with like sticky gel on my hands.
Yeah,
and,
that's terrible.
it really adds to the whole experience, just
Talking about sticky hands, let's shift into triathlon, because I know you're a pretty big triathlete, having done a few half Ironmans, or at least half distance Ironman.
Yeah.
You came 3rd in your age group in Bolton.
Yes, yeah.
When did you transition into triathlon?
I started triathlon in actually lockdown as well. I started everything there. No, I was already running,
But you're a swimmer.
yeah, so I swam as a kid.
That's massive, because
Yeah.
everyone I speak to, including Charles, they hate swimming.
Yeah.
So the Ironman is so much more scary because of that first swim. Where if you're a swimmer, what a breeze.
Yeah.
What a
No.
start to the race.
It's a nice position to be in. I've always been so grateful that for me that's come fairly naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 8 years out of the pool, so it took a little bit of time, like getting used to
The swimming
being back
again.
training, and it was different style of training, but it was really nice because I think I ended swimming not massively loving it.
Yeah.
And now, like I really enjoy it, and it's a great addition for like the run training, because it's
Well,
so
that's
low
the thing,
impact.
it breaks up the mundane training. And another thing I was going to say about everyday runners, marathon training can become quite tedious
Yeah.
and boring. And the AI running apps, they just have you running and strength. Where if you're cycling and swimming, it's breaking it up mentally, not just physically.
Yeah, massively. So no, I got into triathlon 2020, did my first race 2021.
Yeah.
Which was actually, I didn't know at the time, it was the Welsh Olympic distance championships, and I just entered it, first triathlon. In my trainers, I didn't even have cleats at the time, and won.
Were you wearing your GB athlete clothes?
No. I just had I think I had a tri-suit that was like my mum's from when she'd done some when she was younger.
Right.
Yeah, so that was kind of when I was like, oh, maybe I could actually be sort of okay at this.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just got sucked in from there, and it's given me some great opportunities over the last few years, and a lot of stuff that I'm like, I can look back on that and be really proud of it, which is really lovely to have. So I
love the triathlon because of the change of scenery.
Yeah.
Like going from bike to run, that transition is probably one of the greatest moments you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Because you get off that bike as a non-cyclist.
Yeah.
And you put your running shoes on and you're super loose.
Yeah.
And now you've got to tackle the run.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Although I am terrified. I know you've done an Ironman.
Yes.
I've got my first one this year.
Yeah, Kalmar. What a race to choose for your first one.
No,
Sweden is rated one of the best Ironmans in the world.
Yeah.
So you're going to punch that big mallet at the beginning. So that's super cool. So you've decided to challenge yourself to a full Ironman.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
Mixed. I feel like when I entered it, I was sort of like, that feels like one of the only things I've not ticked off in triathlon yet.
Yeah.
But it also really scares me, which,
it is a scary race. Yeah.
But having known how much like a full marathon hurts on its own, I still haven't quite got my head around doing that off a swim and a bike, but I'm just trying to trust the process, and that's
exactly what you need to do, is trust the process. Because I'll tell you, as someone that never ran more than 30 Ks in my life, doing the Ironman full marathon, it was fine because I'd put in the training month after month after month. So I'd done the distances, I just hadn't done it in one go. So if you can do that, you'll be fine on race day. 1, because you've prepped your body. 2, because the fans are insane.
Yeah.
So like you're in the moment and you're grinding it out. But I will say the last 10 Ks is something different.
Yeah.
You'll find a place deep where you're talking to yourself inside your head. And I was just like, come on, this is what you wanted. You wanted to be here, so now you must fight through it.
Yeah.
I had that on repeat. Repeat. So you will find that dark place, which is special.
Yeah. But I think having your why, when I did London, it would have been so easy at so many points for me to just go, no, not my day, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
But I was like, why am I doing this? And it was a big part of it was for me to prove that I can do it, and that even when things aren't going to plan, like I can still get through that. And I was like, if I can get through this, then whether it's in sport or whether it's things that life throws at you.
Yeah.
And I think that as hard as London was, and I was in a pretty low place after London for a few months.
Yeah.
I think actually carrying that forward, it was like one of the best things to happen to me, because now I'm like, okay, well, I got through that and I picked myself up and carried on, so I can pick myself up from other things and carry through. So
what would be a piece of advice to someone that's had a marathon gone badly for those months, having experienced it now?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think, you've got to look at the bigger picture, and I think you're definitely allowed to feel the emotions and feel upset, because you invest time, you invest money, you make sacrifices.
Yeah.
So I think don't feel bad for being upset about it, because I think I had a bit of, it's just a marathon, why am I
so upset,
wasting tears and energy over this? But it means a lot, so I think allow yourself the time to process that, but also remember that it's one race, and you've got opportunities to go again, and actually it's just going to make those days where things go a little bit better mean even more, so and make you a stronger athlete, because I think that's definitely what's happened for me. And there's definitely been races since London where it's got really tough, and I've been like, but it's not as tough as that was, and I got through that. So experience is such an important factor.
Yeah. And one of the things I experienced with the full Ironman was the feeling a couple of days later. So my race didn't go according to plan, I wanted a sub 11, got 11:17, but I was still so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, I got this immense sense of pride that I was able to achieve that. And I think it was because of how scared I was leading up to the race. And so I always try and motivate people to do something that scares them a little. And it doesn't have to be physical.
No.
It can be anything, you know?
No, definitely.
Such an important sort of element to get used to, like challenge yourself, get out there, no matter how scary it is.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why the sub 3:30 London Marathon scares me a little bit. Okay, so now, one of my final questions. So we have all these people that might be watching. What would your message be to them that are struggling to find the motivation to kind of get up, start running, find their race?
Yeah, I think try and start small. You know, I think it's good to have those bigger goals in the back of your mind, but they can feel so overwhelming. And then you're like, oh, well, what's a 10-minute run gonna do to get me towards a marathon?
Yeah.
But actually, if you go, okay, well, today the only challenge that I'm setting myself is to put my shoes on and get out the door, then as soon as you've done that, you've already won. You've already achieved that. And then I think you don't need to wait for motivation to start. Like, motivation comes and goes, but I think having those smaller goals and being able to tick those off, the motivation builds from that.
For sure. Such an important message that just get out there and start.
Yeah.
Just put those running shoes on, go for a little jog and see what you can do.
Yeah.
And I feel like social media has its pros and its cons in this space, because people are seeing people achieve such massive accomplishments.
Yeah.
And then puts them down, because why aren't they doing that? But also, and Gio told me this and I took it to heart, it was such a nice way to look at it. Social media has now opened the eyes for people to see what's possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's made a huge shift in why we're seeing so many people do these endurance races.
Yeah.
It's such a nice positive way to look at it.
I think it's so nice, when I first was in swimming and then running, like, endurance sport wasn't really a cool thing.
Yeah. Which is so interesting, because now we have an endurance epidemic.
It's so, people are like, wow, tell me about your running, like I want to hear about it. But like, when I think back to college, it's a bit like, oh, that's the girl who runs a bit too much, like, so to flip that around now. But I always try and caveat those people, and I'm like, I didn't just start 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing sport my whole life. I've been really privileged to grow up in a supportive environment with parents that do sport and encourage you. And not everyone has that same base.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. When we look at social media, people just see the tip of it and
the
what
1% of the world. Yeah.
And actually there's so many different people coming from all different backgrounds and starting points, and I think that's what's really nice about endurance sport, and maybe what you don't see so much on social media, that you get more maybe when you're just chatting to people at events, races, meetups, things like that, is everyone has a slightly different story.
Yeah.
So I think don't feel like you need to have the same start as someone else or the same journey as someone else. Like, just get started, and
go from there.
See from there, yeah.
I find, once you get into something, you learn on the way. That's something I've learned with this podcast and my training journey. You learn on the way, and that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You don't want to get thrown in the deep end and get freaked out. Go to a run club that's 4:30 pace, and then you pull a muscle, and now you'll never come back.
Yeah.
So it's important to start in your lane, where you are, and just enjoy it.
Yeah. No, that's the key, really. You're not going to enjoy every session. I think you're kidding yourself if you think that, but
100%.
You've got to enjoy the process and enjoy what you're working towards, and then you can't really go too far wrong.
So I want to wish you all the best for the London Marathon. I'll see you there on the start line. I'm not going for a sub 3 because I'm going to stay in my lane. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck for the Ironman. If you want some tips, don't ask me. I am not the best person to ask. But yeah, that's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
What a year that you're looking forward to.
No, another big year. So let's see what it has in store.
Phew.